The weather. The pulse of our planet.
Large tornado in progress.
Capable of catastrophic destruction.
Severe thunderstorm warning.
Leaving landscapes in total ruin.
Totally mash up, everything flattened.
As global temperatures rise, the weather is spiraling out of control.
Oh, shoot!
With shocking up-close footage.
We had 24-foot dumpsters rolling by.
Oh, shoot! I'm losing it. My trailer's going.
From the front line of fear.
This might be the last time I'm in my house.
Tornado!
I got sucked out feet first. Felt myself hit the ground.
Our island is in trouble.
We meet the people who have stared death in the face.
Oh, dear God.
All I could hear was run, run, run.
And miraculously survived.
Look at that!
The world's deadliest weather. Coming up, Hurricane Milton brings terrifying tornadoes that tear through towns in Florida, leaving homes and lives in ruins.
If we walk out of this pantry, is a wall gonna fall on us? Is there another tornado behind it?
On the island of Maui, hurricane-force winds fuel a furious fire that rages relentlessly,
It literally looks like we're in hell.
forcing residents into the flame-filled ocean.
The waves are on fire.
What are we gonna do? Dunk ourselves in the fuel water?
Flash floods rip through a reservation in Arizona,
Look at that water coming over that side.
trapping terrified tourists in the canyon.
It starts to feel more and more serious.
And a solo sailor's desperate struggle to save his own life after being struck by lightning off the coast of Panama.
It's a sizzling, stark crack, like a whip.
Florida, in the US, experiences 60 tornadoes on average every year. But in October of 2024, as Hurricane Milton rages across the Gulf of Mexico, the Category 5 storm triggers an unprecedented 46 tornadoes to hit Florida in one day alone. The biggest number in 70 years.
We know that thunderstorms can spawn tornadoes. And when you have so much energy in the atmosphere, one of the ways that the atmosphere attempts to create an equilibrium or balance is manifesting as a tornado, getting rid of all that energy downward.
In the United States, they get tornadoes that can rip apart houses in a matter of seconds. They start spiraling and then eventually will tilt round. And if they hit the ground, that's when they become a tornado.
Someone who knows exactly how powerful tornadoes can be is 25-year-old storm chaser Morgan Geegon, who lives near Wellington on the east coast of Florida.
I had been tracking Hurricane Milton for a few days. The threat of tornadoes did appear to be heightened. I was on my way to work and saw this storm moving north through the Everglades. So I made my diversion and went straight towards the storm and ended up intercepting it at the Miccosukee Service Plaza. I was able to see this storm with just violent lower level motion begin to wrap up and very, very quickly form a tornado.
Large tornado in progress. Moving north at this time, large wedge tornado in progress.
I was pretty psyched. You very rarely get tornadoes at 8 a.m. in the morning, and that's even more rare in South Florida. And the second that occurred, I knew it was going to be a potentially historic day.
Long track tornado. Been ongoing for about 15 minutes now.
112 kilometers north of Morgan in Fort Pierce, Kobe Taborski and his uncle Eli have seen numerous tornado warnings on social media. So they head out to try and spot one.
We're traveling north along I-95, and we saw several instances where a tornado had crossed the road. Everything was just a mess.
People were taking shelter in their vehicles under the overpasses to try to escape the random tornadoes that were everywhere.
We come across this one circulating cloud, and we could tell that it's about to form into a tornado.
Across the horizon, we could see a funnel. It was moving quite fast, and it was a little erratic.
It was exhilarating. It was incredible.
But their most shocking sight was still to come.
We took the exit on Okeechobee, and we went west, and we received an official tornado warning. So our phones went off again. There wasn't making a U-turn. There wasn't any backing up. There wasn't any flooring it to try to go through. We just stayed right there. It was extremely powerful.
Lahaina, Hawaii, August 2023. A series of wildfires collide with hurricane-force winds to create a near inescapable hell on Earth that rages into the night and forces islanders to choose between a flaming ocean
Look, the waves are on fire.
or a deadly, suffocating inferno.
Hurricane Dora was producing wind gusts on Maui from 64 to 128 kilometers an hour. The fires spread incredibly fast, overtaking communities, and unfortunately, many people could not get out of harm's way.
Lahaina is a picturesque paradise, home to boat captain Chrissy Lovett and her wife Emma, who run a business delivering groceries by boat.
The weather in Lahaina is not always sunshine and rainbows. We get these winds called the Ka'ulula winds, and they funnel through the valleys. And so we'll get winds cranking through there, 30 to 80 knots sometimes.
It's the summer of 2023, and local news stations in Lahaina are reporting that Hurricane Dora is on its way.
Chrissy had actually been watching this weather pattern for probably about 5 days. The power actually went out at 4:35 a.m.
Emma, she's the one who woke up first, and she was pretty concerned and wanted to go to the boat. As we headed into Lahaina, we saw just debris everywhere.
Oh, that boat is blowing over, dude. Look at that boat. It heeled over.
The masts of sailboats were almost like touching the water, like being completely blown over.
Wow. I've never seen a boat heel over in strong winds.
We made it to the harbor, and it just was like, wow, this is nuts.
As the hurricane winds batter the harbor, the couple rush to secure their boat.
Part of being a responsible captain is making sure it doesn't break free during the storm, making sure we put extra lines on, we put extra fenders.
But the hurricane is only part of the problem. Recent hot and dry conditions mean a wildfire has started in the brush on the mountains that surround Lahaina, and the intense wind is spreading the fire toward the town and the harbor.
We had heard that there was a brush fire earlier, but it was just all of a sudden a massive column of smoke. And then the smoke, it just grew to this unbelievable size. It comes this way, we need to run.
We heard like these like pop, 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 pop.
We thought it was fireworks. We realized those aren't fireworks, those are explosions.
As the fire reaches the harbor, The intense heat ignites the fuel tanks in the boats, causing them to explode one by one. The road out of the harbor is blocked by the flames, and the island's infrastructure continues to collapse in the chaos.
I tried to make a phone call, and the cell phones were all dead.
I think we're going to leave. We can see the flames.
We got to get out of here. It was starting to get like pretty worrisome. Like we were like, okay, maybe like driving out was not happening.
It literally looks like we're in hell.
Back in Florida, Hurricane Milton is heading straight for the west coast, triggering 46 tornadoes across the state. Kobe and his uncle Eli are trapped in their car as a furious-looking funnel barrels straight toward them.
The tornado was a unique feeling. The pressure drops, it gets very dark.
The only thing that you saw was black. The only light that we had were transformers blowing up away from us.
We both thought that we were going to be airborne at any moment.
You had thousands and thousands of small debris fields just slammed against the side of the car. The overall roar that tornado made is unforgettable. Once I realized that it was safe, I stepped out of the vehicle, went and surveyed the damage.
There was a piece of metal fence, a 48-inch piece of aluminum sticking out of the side of the Jeep that very easily could have came through the windshield. I think that we both knew immediately how close we came to possibly losing our lives.
Hurricane Milton is now just hours away, and tornadoes are being reported in several towns and cities across the East Coast. 120 kilometers south of Kobe and Eli, storm chaser Morgan has roped in a friend to help him tail a tornado in the ordinarily sleepy town of Wellington.
Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
We were aware of the Wellington EF3 tornado because we were watching it on radar for about 20 miles beforehand. And then we saw this gorgeous, large, destructive cone tornado occurring about 5 miles south of us. It was this large, gray, almost mean-looking cone tornado, and you could already see that it was lofting debris high into the air.
Tornadoes generally don't move particularly fast, but they can really switch direction very quickly indeed. They're being fed by the thunderstorm above them. So generally, if you see the skies blackening, you should be wary. And if you do see a tornado, head in the opposite direction.
You either have to get ahead of it or you have to stay back of it and allow it to cross in front of us. We decided to go ahead of it, and then as it moved closer to populated areas, you could see even more debris and it take on this even darker, more angry gray color. And outside the side of our passenger side window, you could see just debris being thrown through the air and just this large tornado slowly bearing down on us. This was the closest I've ever allowed myself to get to a tornado, especially one of this intensity. After being this close, it's given me a whole new respect for Mother Nature and for the fact that she cannot be tamed.
Australian sailor Peter Lekursky spends his life aboard his 42-foot sailboat, filming his nautical adventures and sharing them online.
I've got to make sure I'm attached to my lifeline. I've lived on a boat, well, since 2008, and I'm married to the sea. What do I love about the sea? Well, there's less people. And there's a lot of adventure. You can live this very, very healthy life. I love it. Early to bed, early to rise. Sailing is just a very simple life.
It's 2020, and Peter is exploring the San Blas Islands in the Caribbean Sea.
That whole coastline is absolutely beautiful. But when it comes to summertime, the wet season, the mountains tend to be lightning magnets, and so the closer you are to them, you're more likely to get hit.
That was just over there!
I mean, to get hit by lightning, it's pretty rare. You know, I figured I was quite safe.
Peter is used to riding out extreme weather, but one night in October of 2020, he gets an unexpected shock. A bolt of lightning strikes his boat, sending a large spark through the rig, leaving him without power and with no means of communication.
To describe the moment it hit, it's just so quick. I can't tell you what was going through my mind, but it felt like some percussive force hitting me in the back. It's so bright, as it's like completely white. It's so crisp. It's a sizzling, stark crack, like a whip.
Lightning is known to be deadly and extremely dangerous, as it's got a lot of electricity and is hotter than the surface of the sun. If you find yourself getting struck by lightning in water or even nearby, it could be the equivalent of putting a toaster in a bathtub. Water is a conductor of electricity, and the end result would be electrocution.
The lightning traveled down the mast and around the body of the aluminum boat, cracking the frame.
I could see molten metal falling around my ears. I checked all the compartments. It's just nothing. Went straight to the hatch and I lifted it up, and as I lifted it up, I just heard this waterfall in the middle of my boat. Together, people, a river in my boat.
The lightning traveled down the mast and around the body of the boat, cracking the frame. But with no hole immediately apparent, Peter begins to suspect the damage to his boat might be below the waterline. So armed with a torch, he dives in.
I went to all the most logical places, and then, of course, I saw this flap hanging down. The hole really was about that big. So a hole like that would sink a boat like mine in 3 minutes. And so I jumped in the dinghy, I got some plastic bags and this very sticky plastic tape. And I thought I'd go and find the hole, plug it, and then that should reduce the flow.
This is special tape that sticks to wet surfaces.
It wasn't my finest work of plugging a hole, but I thought, this is great. I was actually feeling quite chuffed with myself.
But the commotion in the water has attracted another dangerous issue. A school of bull sharks.
People said, oh, weren't you worried? Well, I didn't want to lose my home. That's the most important thing.
Luckily, the sharks keep their distance. And Peter's plugging means his boat stays afloat until he can find help.
Hear that, people? Nothing. Silence. The bilge alarm stopped about 5 minutes ago. The problem has been solved.
That'll do it. Well, there was no more leak. It was all good. Done. I'm still going to take risks. It's still going to be reckless. So I don't think it's changed me at all, really. But I must admit, the awesomeness of lightning, it's amazing.
Volcanoes are Earth's fiery titans, highly unpredictable by their very nature, where explosive force and deadly beauty collide in unstoppable destruction. This tourist in Iceland is risking his life to shoot the perfect shot, standing perilously close to a volatile lake of lava that is burning its way down a mountain in Iceland, following the eruption of Fagradalsfjall Geldingadalur volcano in August of 2021. Suddenly, the lava flow increases dramatically, spewing gallons of molten rock into the air, narrowly missing the foolish photographer as it rages along its flaming path. But when the majestic Mount Dukono begins to erupt in North Halmahera, Indonesia, in August of 2024, absolutely no one is stopping for photos. Instead, the terrified tourists run for their lives, trying to get as far as possible from the mind-blowing mass of rock and dust billowing from the beast. The unauthorized climbers were warned that the volcano was on high alert and told to remain within a 3-kilometer radius of the peak, yet they still ventured in to the highly hazardous area. Miraculously, there were no reported injuries, and all the climbers escaped with their lives. But they might think twice before breaking the rules in the future. October 9th, 2024. A record-breaking 46 tornadoes hit Florida, paving the way for Hurricane Milton, which is brewing over the Gulf of Mexico. One of the more severe of them has torn across the town of Wellington on the east coast.
Tornado in progress, tornado in progress.
Narrowly missing storm chaser Morgan. And now it's hurtling east towards West Palm Beach, the home of Danielle Watson and her husband, Robert.
I remember that I had heard that there were tornadoes happening in South Florida. Robert had gone outside and was looking at some sort of weird clouds happening outside.
This is so low.
I know, I'm watching it.
We could see the wind shifting, the clouds kind of stirring in a circle, and we saw, as it approached, a lot of debris flying in the air, and just, you can see it in a circular motion. And I honestly thought we were relatively safe, being as naive as that is.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then it just seemed to come towards us, and then it was here. What I remember the most is just all the debris hitting the houses and the noise of the glass breaking and things just flying. It was just gray, grayish, and you could see the debris twisting in the air. I didn't realize the magnitude of what was about to happen. Obviously, if I did, would have used better judgment and would have gotten into a safe place. I was in shock. I had never seen anything like this in my life.
As the tornado passes directly over Danielle and Robert's house, it picks up a garden chair and smashes it into the sliding glass door.
One of the two got picked up and just thrown right against the slider. It was quite terrifying. I honestly was fearful that the roof was going to get ripped off. The intensity and the power of this was so much. To see that just get picked up like magic and then thrown up against the slider, I'll never forget that. That was just very frightening to me.
The 241-kilometer-per-hour whirlwind was later categorized as an EF3 tornado,
Please get inside.
meaning it's severe, having caused significant damage to hundreds of homes.
We just walked out front, saw the destruction. The street was just lined with debris. We were both stunned. Our community had been so devastated in 5 minutes.
Back in Lahaina, on Maui, a wildfire fueled by hurricane-force winds reaches the harbor.
Front Street is on fire.
Emma and Chrissy are desperately trying to escape the flames.
People came running through and they were like, the fire's here. It's like, get out. We have to go.
I think we're going to leave. You can see the flames.
We got to get out of here. And there's really only one option.
I grabbed a 10-foot skiff and I started shuttling people out of the harbor. At a certain point, it was like darkness because there was so much smoke, and it's like you're driving in the dark, you can't see anything.
It literally looks like we're in hell. And then we kind of like sat there for a second and like looked back and like just the town is like disappearing. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't go back in. And we're just like, what do we do now?
The couple has no choice but to wait in the water and hope the fires die down. As the hours pass and darkness falls, they watch helplessly as the flames consume their hometown.
We were like, well, we can't just sit here and just like watch all of this. You know, like we have to try to do something. We were like, let's go see if anyone else is in there. Let's see if we can find anyone, get them out of the water.
Look, the waves are on fire. Be careful.
As we turned into the harbor, the waves were actually on fire from the amount of fuel and ash and oil that was on the surface of the water. And it was like this apocalypse that we had just driven the dinghy into.
Be careful right here.
We were getting bombed by, it was like fire debris.
We were really afraid of like our clothes catching on fire, of like anything catching on fire. And then like, what are we gonna do? Dunk ourselves in the fueled water?
Despite their fears, Emma and Chrissy spend hours helping the Coast Guard rescue exhausted islanders from the water. Some of them children.
Like having a purpose felt better than sitting there and watching helplessly as like your town disappeared before your eyes.
By morning, most of the fire has burnt itself out. After 18 hours at sea, watching their town turn to ashes, suffering from smoke inhalation and exhaustion, the couple are able to return to dry land. But nothing could have prepared them for the devastation to come.
It's so slick with fuel in here.
Yeah.
We went into the harbor and it was gone. It was like a war zone.
Everything's gray, black, everything's smoky. You know, there's no green. The wind had stopped. There were no more explosions. Silence. No birds chirping. No leaves moving in the wind.
102 people lost their lives in the Maui fire, making it one of the deadliest wildfires in US history. Over 2,000 structures were destroyed, and federal officials estimated the cost of the damage to be well over $5 billion. Emma and Chrissy feel lucky to have escaped with their lives.
Emotions, they're up, they're down, there's anger, there's sadness, there's hope.
I'm grateful every single day that I am safe, that Chrissy was safe, and the loss is tragic. And so that's ever present, but I think it's just as present as the gratitude of being alive and being safe.
As those in Maui know, the ocean is a force of relentless power and untamed fury. It's a typical day at Pier Point Beach in California in the US, when the waves suddenly turn sinister, speeding towards the sea wall. But the waves are too strong for some, and they get dragged under and pulled along as far as 50 yards, sustaining multiple injuries. The flooded town is thrown into chaos as traffic comes to a standstill, perfectly demonstrating the pure power of the ocean. It's late evening in this small village in northwest Greenland, when a tsunami hits the houses along the shoreline. At first, the rising water level doesn't appear to be too concerning, until some of the houses begin to float by. As the wave size rapidly increases, the seriousness of the situation becomes inescapable, as more and more houses are ripped from their foundations and carried away by the water. The wave continues to push its way inland, causing locals to run in search of higher ground. The person filming managed to escape the water, but reports later confirmed that 4 people were tragically killed. The Havasupai Reservation, bordering the Grand Canyon, Arizona, in the United States, is one of America's most remote settlements, only accessible by helicopter or on foot. Each year, thousands of tourists make the 16-kilometer hike into the canyon to witness the area's spectacular waterfalls. But in August 2024, heavy rain triggers major flash flooding.
Look at that water coming over that side.
Cutting off access and leaving nearly 100 hikers trapped in the reservation.
Flash floods are when heavy rain falls from the sky and the ground just can't cope with that volume of water. Flash floods can occur very rapidly, generating a lot of mud as well, exacerbating the flood.
Flash floods can be incredibly dangerous because the speed of the water currents. People can be taken by surprise at the rising of that water so rapidly. What we have to remember, it just takes 6 inches of water to knock someone off their feet, particularly if there's currents within that body of water.
Clayton Worthen from Las Vegas and his wife Shelley love spending time outdoors.
Havasupai is one of the most beautiful places I think a lot of hikers can go to in the southern United States. It is one of the top hikes.
So along with 10 of their friends, the couple start the trek into the canyon.
On the way down, it's typical like rock paths, but once you get down, There's greenery, it's lush, especially as you get right into the village at the end of the hike. Then you start seeing those beautiful blue waters that come into play.
The group stop to admire the famous Havasupai Falls, then trek further down to their campsite in the base of the canyon.
We checked the weather before we went down. It had rained the night before, and there was rain in the forecast, and it was supposed to rain lightly.
Yeah.
Was the big thing.
For like 20 minutes.
And then it was gonna be done. It sprinkled for probably about 45 minutes. And then it started coming down heavy-ish.
And we were in our tent. We had 6 of us in there. You don't want everyone to get wet.
It got more serious as we got word from the ranger, hey, there's a flash flood coming down, you guys need to start moving.
Within moments, I was drenched head to toe.
And then as we start moving, waterfalls are forming.
Look at that water coming over that side.
It starts to feel more and more and more serious. We were kept on being pushed to go just a little bit further and a little bit higher and a little bit past this bridge. And it says, once you get up above this bridge, you'll be fine. And there's just kind of this questioning, is this it? Is this the danger we were worried about? And it felt like everything was fine.
But in the rush to leave camp, the group separates. With half of the party yet to arrive at the bridge, conditions rapidly start to change.
All of the rain had stopped, but then we watched the water rise and rise. The hair on the back of your neck kind of stands up a little bit, and you say, something's going on, I need to start moving.
We have to really get to high ground. So then we ended up walking up this plateau at least like 30, 40 feet above the original ground spot that we were at.
And then that water burst over that bank. All right, this is intense. Members of our group that ended up getting separated from their spouse at that point, and the river had just divided everybody.
The trees are going!
In just a few moments, the pathway is entirely engulfed by the flowing rapids, leaving Clayton, Shelley, and the rest of the group stunned and terrified.
And we ended up watching the whole flood come through. I can't believe that just missed us and just passed us. And once that kind of died down, we knew that we were safe.
So we were relieved that our group was all back together finally.
As the group start to hike upwards back towards the village, it becomes clear that this isn't an isolated incident.
So further up the canyon, it had come down hard.
The Havasupai Falls went from one of the prettiest things I've ever seen to this just disgusting reddish brown mud.
It's like this is just an impressive amount of power just coming down this canyon.
Eventually, the group managed to hike their way back up to the village, where locals had set up an emergency shelter in a nearby school. But they're still trapped within the canyon.
We also told that the whole hike in was completely washed out.
The following day, the group are finally able to get a helicopter out of the canyon.
Like, wow, like that was every emotion that you could imagine. Once you finally got there, it was like touching that ground was like, oh my gosh, I'm safe.
We learned a lot of lessons that weekend. Things can change very quickly.
Mother Nature has its own agenda, and we for sure saw it that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back in Florida, 60 kilometers up the coast from where Danielle and Robert's house was trashed by a tornado, another of Hurricane Milton's whirlwinds has hit the city of Stewart.
All right, we'll take you in.
This time destroying the home of Joanne and John Collius.
This is the TV family type room.
Actually, when we first saw the tornado, we saw it at this window here.
Joanne was in here watching the TV, and I was actually sitting in a chair by the front door because I had my phone and was watching the radar and knew it was coming from that direction.
John and I made the decision that the pantry was going to be the safe space. TV was going off all the time with the weather alerts. And then I started seeing the debris.
Light debris at first, not anything big and heavy, but it was flying by.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was debris off, like shingles off of buildings and stuff.
Ching, 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 you know, on top of our roof and on this, just ching, ching, ching. You know, that's what you could hear at first.
And then when Joanne saw the debris, she came running in there, and by that time, my ears started popping, and I knew that was big trouble.
And I yelled, "Tornado, pantry."
We were calling the dog to try to get the dog to come in the pantry, and the dog wouldn't come. I closed the door of the pantry, we couldn't get the dog. Things got worse and worse.
You just felt this pressure in the house moving.
The house just, it was like a person does a giant sneeze. It's like when you sneeze, you go, achoo, right? And the house just went up. You can see the actual ceilings that start to rise, and then achoo, ceiling just came down. It was violent to the ground.
Just didn't know what to expect next. If we walk out of this pantry, is a wall gonna fall on us? Is there another tornado behind it? It's intimidating. You just don't know what's gonna happen next. When it was over, everything was so quiet and still.
Then, you know, the whole thing lasted like 45 seconds or so after that. We thought the dog was probably gone. All of a sudden over here, some of this insulation started moving. I came over and dug it out. It was only, you know...
She was 7 months old at the time.
Yeah.
I think that the roof lifted, and when it lifted, it popped the drywall and cracked the drywall. It looked like it was snowing. It just kind of trickled down like snow. Big snow piles all over our furniture, all over our dog. It was just everywhere.
Hundreds of houses in the area were damaged, and on the couple street, 4 homes were completely destroyed. Hours later, Hurricane Milton made landfall, causing up to $85 billion worth of damage, and tragically, taking over 30 lives.
I think it's important to make sure, never take a storm for granted. John and I feel we are lucky to survive, and we're lucky, you know, we didn't lose our dog.
That day in Florida was absolutely historical. I don't think Florida has ever seen a day like that in their history before. Mother Nature is extremely powerful, and nothing that you can do can alter its course.
One thing that I think is you prepare for the weather, you prepare for storms. Mother Nature's gonna do what she wants to do. And this was maybe a once-in-a-lifetime event, something that hopefully we'll never see again.
The weather.
Tornado, stay low!
The pulse of the earth. And an uncontrollable force.
Our island is in trouble!
As global temperatures rise,
This might be the last time I'm in my house.
the weather is getting more extreme.
It's an unstoppable force.
And even more catastrophic.
It's the most active I've ever seen it.
With devastating consequence.
You better go! It's coming!
Proving once again that we are no match for for the world's deadliest weather.
Oh dear God.